Tired of big tech clashing with your Catholic values? Fide Chat is now live on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. It's private, encrypted, and built by Catholics for Catholics, with features like parental controls and more. Connect securely with family, friends, and groups. Download Fide Chat at fide.email. Technology without compromise.
Now, you might be aware, a few days ago, Blessed Carlo Acutis became Saint Carlo Acutis, canonized by Pope Leo XIV. And a few months ago, I reported to you on the ravings of one Andrea Grillo. He's an Italian liturgist who was key to the development of Traditionis Custodes, major figure in Rome, one of the most powerful laymen working in Rome. He helped to smash your Latin Mass. If your parish lost a Latin Mass, you can thank in part Andrea Grillo for that. He was one of the great minds behind it, one of the sharpest minds on some topics from the modernist side of things. And Mr. Grillo can't help himself because, as I reported a month or two ago, he decided that he didn't like Blessed Carlo Acutis. And I generally don't pay much attention to canonizations that the post-conciliar church does because they destroyed the qualifications for it, utterly annihilated them. The process for canonizing a saint before the 1980s was much more rigorous than it was after the 1980s, including having a devil's advocate, the watering down the number of miracles, even how they defined what a miracle was, all these things. And I have nothing against now Saint Carlo Acutis, nothing. I have questions about the process. And not just with him, but with virtually all of them. But that's not what Andrea Grillo has. He has a real problem with Carlo Acutis himself. He didn't think the kid should be canonized because he thought he had an evil focus, basically an un-Catholic focus on the Eucharist, having a very anti-Vatican II understanding of the Eucharist. And his ravings, I kind of joked, said, well, you're selling me on Carlo Acutis. You really are. Well, he decided he wanted to make the news again. So Matthew Hazel posted this to X. Mr. Hazel is, for those of you, a self-described liturgy geek and contributor to the New Liturgical Movement blog, which is one of the foremost websites for reading about really in-depth issues relating to the traditional liturgy, as well as to Rorate Caeli, and then he's a member of the Liturgy Society. He found this. Andrea Grillo, progressive liturgist, says St. Carlo Acutis', quote, holiness kit is, quote, embarrassing and infantile for suggesting things like praying the rosary every day, reading the Bible every day, Eucharistic adoration, weekly confession, and prayer to your guardian angel. These are old-fashioned Catholic practices, ladies and gentlemen. And Andrea Grillo, one of the architects of the smashing of the traditional Latin Mass, thinks Carlo Acutis was infantile for having this. Infantile. This is old-fashioned Catholicism. Again, trying to sell me on Carlo Acutis here. You really are, Mr. Grillo. Now you might think, well, he's just saying it himself. Well, here's the post in Italian, and then here's the post in English. The holiness kit is, according to Mr. Grillo, quote, an embarrassing document. Carlo and his kit to become saints. To help the children, he teaches catechism. He formulates his, quote, kit to become saints. 1, you need to want it with all your heart. And if you don't want it yet, you have to ask the Lord insistently. 2, try to go to Holy Mass every day and take Holy Communion. 3, it's actually receive, not take, Mr. Grillo. 3, remember to recite the Holy Rosary every day. 4, read a portion of the Holy Scriptures every day. 5, if you can, do a few moments of Eucharistic adoration in front of the tabernacle where Jesus is really present, so you will see how he will wonderfully increase your level of holiness. 7, or really 6, if you confess every week, even venomous, meaning, well, that's a translation issue, venial sins. 8, make often resolution and flowers to the Lord and Virgin Mary to help others. And 9, constantly ask for help from your guardian angel who has to become your best friend. I'm sorry. What is wrong with this? This is stuff you would read right out of the saints. Any Middle Ages saint, pre-Vatican II saint, would tell you the same thing. I'm sure Padre Pio would have some positive thoughts on this. But Mr. Grillo continues saying, reducing tradition to a traditionalist infantism is not a good page for the church in 2025. Using Carlo Acutis like this is not good, especially towards him. Whoever reads this kit can relate. No, actually, I can't relate. I can relate more with Carlo Acutis. Again, Mr. Andrea Grillo is becoming the best person for selling Andrea Grillo to those skeptical, or selling Carlo Acutis' canonization to those skeptical of him. Or not of him, but of the process. Mr. Grillo is practically his publicist at this point. Mr. Hazel continues saying, he also wants bishops to stop parishes arranging for St. Carlo's a Eucharistic miracles exhibit to be displayed, as it is against the, quote, true meaning of the Eucharist. Your reminder that Grillo is a professor of sacramental theology of St. Anselmo. So here's Mr. Grillo from his own X account. It will be very useful if the bishops from tomorrow evening warn the parishioners against setting up the display of Eucharistic miracles. It seriously leads astray those who seek the true meaning of the Eucharist. Now, I will tell you that the only danger I've ever seen from a real focus on Eucharistic miracles is misunderstanding their purpose. So I'm going to remind you what the church has always said about Eucharistic miracles. They're not an endorsement of the place that they happen in. They're generally a sign of widespread disbelief in the real presence. If you read about a lot of the Eucharistic miracles, you'll find that many of them are associated with priests who did not believe in the real presence, or of parishes that did not believe in the real presence. They are practically God waving a neon sign to show you that he is truly present in the most blessed sacrament of the altar. That he wants you to believe to such a degree that he was willing to work a great sign, a great wonder in front of you. Those who believe don't seek after signs and wonders. That is one of the great warnings of the church, constantly given through history. That's why I don't focus that much on miracles unless they make the news. Because I do believe in the real presence. So I don't need to spend a lot of time worrying about a Eucharistic miracle. But in my capacity here on this channel, if one happens, if one allegedly happens, I will report it to you. But that's about it. They're interesting. But if you take them in the context of what they're supposed to be, they're a great warning. That maybe if you ever find yourself in the position of one happening in your parish, years from now, I hope you remember these words, that it may be time to do some introspection, either for yourself or to help those around you to believe in the real presence of our blessed Lord in the sacrament. I know a lot of people will have a hard time hearing that, but that's generally what the church has always said, that a Eucharistic miracle is not a sign of great belief in an area, because those who believe don't need signs and wonders. That's why we're cautioned against looking too much into prophecy and things. But do you agree with me that Mr. Grillo is the best salesman for Blessed Carlo Acutis? Let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot too. I found that story very amusing, as you can tell, because oftentimes these guys do the best work for us one way or the other. But please pray for Mr. Andrea Grillo. He does need your prayers. Remember, the salvation of souls is the first law of the church. It is of paramount importance for every Catholic every day of our lives, to work out our salvation in fear and trembling, as the apostle says, but also to worry about the salvation of those who need it, especially Catholics in the public eye. So please pray for Mr. Andrea Grillo. And as always, pray for the church. As you can tell from these stories that we're talking about today, the church needs it. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.